Hello. Hi everyone. Good morning. Hello. Am I audible, visible? Please let me know in the chat section. Am I audible, visible? Good morning, good morning, good morning. So I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Unacademy NEET English. I'm your biology educator Ambika Sharma, and today we are going to start a new chapter, that is principles of inheritance and variation. So finally we are starting genetics, right? You requested it so many times that ma'am, please start genetics. It is very important. So see, finally we have started. Okay, so now you know what you have to do. Be consistent, attend the lectures, make the notes, then read that chapter from NCERT and solve the PYQs, right? Right? So ultimately that's what we have to do. So tell me, excited for new chapter? Yes, Suhashini, Smitha, Sujita, Vishnu, excited for new chapter? Most awaited chapter. Actually, it is most awaited chapter. And I think the second most is going to be your plant physiology. Isn't it? Then it is your plant physiology, because I'm getting so many messages for plant physiology as well. Okay, so let's start the lecture, but before that, see guys, look at this amazing video, the actual road map. Do check out the video. But other than that, what you have to do, see, it is September, right? September, October, November, December, January, February, March, and then April. Till April, still you have time to revise, to complete your syllabus, and then to revise for the NEET examination. I'm not saying that it is going to be easy for you if you're going to start now. Like if, let's say, if you're a late beginner, you know that you have to do a lot of hard work, isn't it? If you are a late beginner, yes, you have to do a lot of hard work, and every day you have to give minimum 5 hours for the self-study, minimum, I'm telling you. Okay, but still there is a chance if you start now. If you will, keep wasting your time, then it will be very difficult for you. And you know that you need to score 600 plus marks if you actually want to get admission in a good medical college. Right now, I'm not talking about the AIMS examination. So please channelize your energy. Please make a proper strategy, right, and complete your syllabus. Do smart work as of now, right? But your strategy should include both the things, hard work as well as the smart work, right? So first of all, you need to decide that what are you going to do first, okay, right? The subject wise, the chapter wise, these are the things that you need to focus, okay? So please make a proper strategy and then start your preparation. And you know what you can do? You can join our Avengers batch, which is, yes, one of the best batches. So you have to click on the link here, and then bache see, this page will open where you have to add your number, your email ID. The coupon code Avengers is already applied, and you will get this batch at a price of 4999, right? So in that price, you will get this batch. You are getting the classes, you will get the mock test as well, you will get the proper doubt sessions as well. So please do not waste your time and join the batch as soon as possible. Okay, so okay, Mirhilal, please reply me. Yes, bache. See, bache, Mirhilal, I have just one question. I think I have repeated this thing so many times, that I will take Plant Kingdom part 2 as well again. But I don't know why you are emphasizing on that particular chapter only. We have completed other chapters also, na? Right? Right? The paper is not going to come from that Plant Kingdom only. There are other chapters also. And as I said, I will take lecture on that too. Right? Right, after human physiology, I clearly mentioned that I'm going to take the lecture on that Plant Kingdom. But why you people are, asking same thing again and again? So now, without wasting time, let's start this chapter, that is genetics and evolution 3 in this unit. 3 chapters are there: principles of inheritance and variation, molecular basis of inheritance, and then comes the evolution. So today we are going to start with this particular chapter. So the first question here is that what is genetics, right? First of all, just let me know this thing, that what is genetics? What do you know about genetics, or what you understand from this particular word, that is genetics, right? And I will start with a very simple way, right? In a very simplified way, I'm going to explain the things, and then we will discuss, right? Then we will discuss, the details, the proper definitions, the bookish language we will discuss. But firstly, let's understand this particular chapter in a very simple way, okay? Okay? From this chapter, bache, it can vary. You can get 5 questions as well. You can get 6 questions as well. You can even get 4 questions as well. So it varies. So 4 to 8 questions, so, right, you can consider from this chapter. Fine, bache, fine. So what is genetics? What do you understand by this term genetics? Tell me. What do you understand by this term genetics? Okay. See, first of all, when you talk about the genetics here, obviously something related to the genes. That's what we are going to discuss. Now, I'll start from a very simple statement. It is given in your NCERT, like begets like. It is given in your NCERT. Yes. Now, what is the meaning of this particular line? You know this thing, right? You have noticed it, right? That humans are going to give birth to humans only. Dogs are going to give birth to dogs only. Elephants are going to give birth to elephants only. It is not like that, students, that dogs will give birth to the cats or to the mouse. No, no. If we are human beings, then obviously we will give birth to what? We are going to give birth to the human beings only. Henna, that's what we know already, isn't it? Why? Why? Why is it so? On what basis, we are going to decide that yes, humans are going to give birth to the humans only? What is it? So obviously here your genetic material, your genes are involved, isn't it? Here your genes are involved, the genetic material is involved. We again and again, we talk about the same things. Like we used to say that in the case of humans, how many chromosomes are there? 46 chromosomes are there, isn't it? 46 chromosomes are there in human. This is what we discuss. In the case of plants, we know when we talk about different species, when we talk about different organisms, we talk about a specific number of chromosomes. I am not saying that even humans are also having 46 chromosomes. Dogs will also have 46 chromosomes. Elephant will also have 46 chromosomes. No, it is not like that. You know that this number is very specific, isn't it? This number is very specific. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? And you know that if there will be any change in this chromosome number, let's say if it will be 44, if it will be 45, if it will be 47, it can result in disorders. It can result in abnormalities. So yes, this number, we need to maintain it. And when you talk about the sexual reproduction, you know that sperms, 23 chromosome, ovum, 23 chromosome, zygote will be having 46 chromosome. Even this thing is maintained, isn't it? Isn't it? Right. So meiosis is designed in such a way that it will reduce the chromosome number to half, so that when there is the fertilization in between the gametes, it can result in the formation of what? It can result in the formation of the zygote, again having the same chromosome. So why such things are important? Why such things are important, Subhashini? Why? Why is it so? Of course, we have to maintain this chromosome number, because if it will be changed, humans, right, only then, see, if these genes, if this thing is managed, well managed, then, right, then we can justify this line, na? Isn't it? Isn't it? So whenever we talk about the genetics, see, it is a beautiful chapter, bache, and here you need to understand the concept. Fine? Fine. First of all, understand the concept. Then obviously in the lectures itself, I include that NCERT reading. Okay, and then bache, you have to solve the questions. So this is a chapter which you need to understand, where concepts need to be very clear. Otherwise, cramming is not going to help you here in this particular chapter. Okay, you need to understand the concepts. So when it comes to the genetics, right, so you will include both the things. You are going to include the heredity as well and the variation as well, right? Heredity as well and the variation as well. Both the things will be included here. This is what we are going to study here in the genetics, the heredity and the variation as well. So now the first question here is that what is heredity? Yes, bache, can you tell me what is the meaning of? Yes, Mitha, what is the meaning of heredity? Yes, do you know that? Do you know that? It's very simple. It means transmission of characters from parents to offsprings. Okay, it is transmission of characters from parents to offsprings. That is what heredity is. Okay. Okay, now when it comes to the variation, let's discuss that part also. Now see, one thing is justified. I told you, na, like begets like. Humans are going to give birth to humans only. Dogs are going to give birth to dogs only. But here, right? So basically this transmission of characters, okay, this transmission of characters from parents to offspring, it is the heredity. It is the heredity. But bache, are we same like our parents? Like ditto same? Like, are we the carbon copies of our parents? Tell me. Tell me. Are we totally same like our parents? Of course not. Of course not. Right? If you talk about me, my height is just like my father. My eyes are just like my father. Okay, my hair is just like my mother. Okay, my skin tone is just like my mother. So obviously, I am not ditto like my parents. Right? I am acquiring the character of both the individuals. Right? My mother's characters are also there, my father's characters are also there, and there are some, right? You know that there are some other characters also, isn't it? Isn't it? Some characters which are not there in my mother and father, because I am their combination, that's why. Okay, that's why, isn't it? So when you talk about this term variation, so it is actually the degree by which individual of same species, they vary from each other. Okay, what is the meaning of variation? It is the degree, right? It is the degree of that change, right? That how, basically we define it like this, that how individual of same species, right? They have some differences, right? The degree of that difference, that individuals of same species, but still there are differences, right? That is what variation is, right? That is what variation is. Let me write down. So individuals of same species, they differ from each other. That degree of difference, yeah, that difference is basically it is basically the variation, right, bache? It is basically the variation. Fine. And you know that these variations are very important, isn't it? Right? These variations are very important for the adaptation. I have the character of both the individuals, of my mother as well, of my father as well, right? So I am not ditto like them. I have the variations, right? My genotype is not same like them, right? It is having the changes. So that changes, that variation is going to help me in the survival. It will help me out for the adaptations. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? This is what variation is. So this is heredity, this is variation, and that's what we are going to discuss here in the genetics. Clear? This is what we have to discuss here in the genetics. And when it comes to the variation, right, crossing over, you know, now we have completed this chapter, crossing over, recombination, right, meiosis, the reductional division. In this reductional division, there will be the crossing over. So that crossing over is responsible for variation. And even in this particular chapter, we'll be talking about the mutation. These two things are responsible for the variation. Clear, bache? These two things are responsible for the variation. That's what we need to discuss. Clear, bache? So individual of same species, they have some differences, and that degree of differences is what? It is the variation, and this is what genetics is. And the bache, term genetics. Okay, term genetics was given by William Watson. He was the one who gave the term genetics. Clear, bache? Clear? And father of genetics. Do you know about the father of genetics? Who's the father of genetics? That's Gregor John Mendel. Right? That's Gregor John Mendel. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? And father of experimental genetics is T.H. Morgan. Okay? Father of experimental genetics is T.H. Morgan. Clear, bache? Right? And father of human genetics and biochemical genetics is Garrod. That is Garrod. G-A-R-R-O-D. So that's what you need to know. Right? That's what you need to know. So if you want to understand this particular chapter, first of all, you need to focus on few terms. Right? We need to understand few terms, and then we will talk about the contribution of the Mendel, and further we will discuss. Clear, bache? Clear, clear, clear. Okay. Okay. So now, bache, there is one more thing. Now we are talking about the heredity. Do you know what is the meaning of inheritance? Sometimes we consider it as same, isn't it? Sometimes we consider it as same, totally same. Like here I'm saying na heredity is the transmission of characters from parents to offspring, and here you are talking about the inheritance. So is there any difference in these two words or it's same? Tell me, is there any difference in these two words or it's same? There is a little difference. See, when you talk about the inheritance, here you are talking about the process of that transmission, right? Heredity is simply saying that characters will get transferred from parents to the offspring, and when it comes to the inheritance, we are talking about the process then, right? That the process of transmission of characters. Okay, so it is basically that process of transmission of characters from parents to offsprings. Okay. Okay, from parents to offspring, that is what inheritance is. Clear? Clear? So these are few basic terms. So now I hope you understand the title, that principles of inheritance. What are that rules, that principles, right, of inheritance, of this responsible for this transmission and the variation. So now you know the meaning of each and every term. So now, bache, when you talk about this chapter, here in this chapter, these are the topics that we need to cover, right? We'll be talking about the Mendel's law of inheritance, very important. MCQ can come from this part. Inheritance of one gene, again important. Inheritance of two genes. So basically here you are going to talk about monohybrid cross, you are going to talk about dihybrid cross, right, bache? Sex determination, and even we will see some deviations also, right? Whatever Mendel has proposed, you will see that it is not true throughout, right? So we will see the deviations also, sex determination, mutations, genetic disorders. So see, 6 topics are given here, bache. 6 topics are given here, and from each and every topic question can come. So directly you can say that 6 MCQs, right, are coming from this part only. Okay, 6 MCQs are coming from this part only. Done? None. And yes, it is also possible that they can give you, you know, some numericals. Even we will talk about that, pedigree analysis also. So there are other topics also. So yes, the chapter is very important. Fine, this chapter is very important. Clear, bache? Okay, so now let's read it from NCERT and then we will start the basics. Okay, okay, let's read it from NCERT and then we will again focus on the basic part. So they are saying that, have you ever wondered why an elephant always gives birth only to the baby elephant? Of course, now you know the genes are responsible, right? And even you know that, right, offsprings, they are not totally identical to their parents. You know that offsprings are identical only in the case of asexual reproduction. Like if this is the amoeba will form daughter cells, and that daughter cells are ditto like the parents. Why? Why? Because here you will see asexual reproduction. What are you going to see here? You will see asexual reproduction. And if it is the asexual reproduction, there will be no crossing over here, right? The offsprings are identical to the parents. They are simply the clones. So it is the sexual reproduction. It is the sexual reproduction which is responsible for this variation. It is the sexual reproduction, because of that crossing over is there. Is that clear, bache? Is that clear? So these and several related questions that are dealt with scientifically in a branch of biology is known as genetics, right? So in genetics, we discuss all that things. Why parents and offsprings, they are not identical, or you know, why humans are giving birth to humans. So everything we are going to discuss in genetics. Okay, so see, it is clearly mentioned here that this subject, genetics, it deals with the inheritance as well as variation of characters, right? It is dealing with the inheritance as well as variation of characters. So see, inheritance is the process by which characters are passed from parent to the progeny. Okay, okay, just say you want to take admission in the MBBS college. This is what you want, right? But what is the process for it? You have to qualify the NEET examination. After qualifying the NEET examination, you have to go for the multiple rounds of counseling. Then you will get admission after paying your fees, right? So here also, the process of that inheritance, the inheritance is that process by which characters will pass from parents to progeny. So this inheritance is the basis of heredity. This inheritance is the basis of that transmission. Is that clear, Trisha? Yes, everyone. And variation, as I said, it is the degree by which progeny differ from their parents. Okay. Okay, by which progeny differ from their parents. So individual of same species, they differ from each other. The degree of difference is variation. Even this is also correct. And you can also relate it in this way that, you know, parents and offsprings, they are not same. There are some differences, and the degree of difference is variation. Any doubt here? Any doubt here? Right? So see, humans knew from as early as 8000 to 1000 BC that one of the causes of variation is hidden in sexual reproduction, and you know that what is it, isn't it? You know that what is it. So while reading the NCERT, consider yourself as an examiner and accordingly answer each and every question here. Fine, bache? Fine, bache? Okay. So see, a very beautiful point is given here that humans exploited the variations that were naturally present in the wild population of plants and animals to selectively breed and select for organisms that possessed desirable characters. So here they are saying that humans, they know it that ultimately variation is somewhere there in sexual reproduction. They exploited this particular character, right? Here we are talking about the artificial hybridization. Fine, artificial hybridization. You know now, if we want superior quality of the plants, then we are going to make two superior plants. Okay, okay, artificial hybridization. Remember that emasculation and that begging, then tagging, then again, right? Right? So artificial hybridization. So we are using it from so long. Fine, fine. So that's what they are discussing here. Clear, bache? And same in the case of animals also. See, the example of animal is also given. So through artificial selection and domestication from ancestral wild cows, we have well-known Indian breeds like Sahibal, Sahibal cow in Punjab, right? And we must, however, recognize that through our ancestors, though our ancestors knew about the inheritance of character and variation, they had little idea about the scientific basis as well. Is that clear? Is that clear? So now see, now from this part also one MCQ can come. They can ask you that Sahibal is what? Is it a cow? Is it a buffalo? You know na, this is there in strategies for enhancement in food production. And in old NCERT, strategies for enhancement in food production is still there. We need to read this particular chapter. So see, such type of questions can come in your final NEET examination. So they can ask you about this Sahibal, and they can even ask you that where are you going to find this cow. So read each and every line very, very, very carefully. Fine. Fine, you have to read each and every line very carefully. Done, bache? Done. So now let's understand few terms, and then we will start it from NCERT. So, and these are the terms that you need to understand if you actually want to master this chapter. Okay. So the first thing is your gene, or let's start with the factor. Let's start with the factor. So what do you know about it? Yes, what do you know about it? We are going to discuss about the terms related to the genetics, and the first thing that I'm asking here is that what is the meaning of the factor? Do you know about the factor? Do you know about this factor? What is the meaning here? Yes, what is the meaning here? See, it is the unit of heredity. What is it? It is the unit of heredity which is responsible for inheritance. Okay, what is factor? It is the unit of heredity which is responsible for inheritance. But now you must be thinking, if you're doing this chapter for the first time, that ma'am, we don't know about it, hai na? In class 10th also we didn't discuss the factors, you know, na, factor. So Mendel used to call it factor. Who's Mendel? Father of genetics. So Mendel used to call it factors, and today today these factors, they are known as the genes, right? These factors, they are known as the genes. Clear, bache? So Jonason, okay, Jonason referred factors. Jonason referred factors as genes. Okay, Jonason referred factors as genes. Clear, bache? As genes. Done? Okay, so factor, it is the unit of heredity which is responsible for inheritance, and now we are calling it as what? We are calling it as gene, right? We are calling it as what? We are calling it as gene. Clear bache? Clear bache? So this is what we need to understand first, and that is what? That is gene. So now gene is the unit of inheritance, or it is the unit of heredity. You know where these genes are present. You know about the DNA, isn't it? You know about the DNA. What is DNA? DNA is the genetic material. Okay. Okay. It is having all the information. It is having all the information required for our metabolism, for our functioning. So when you talk about these DNAs, right, their basic unit, this basic unit present on this, these DNA, on this DNA is the genes. Right? It is the gene here. So that genes are making the DNA, and this gene is the unit of heredity. This is the unit of inheritance. Is that clear? This is the unit of heredity, and this is the unit of inheritance. Is that clear? Now, bache, I am not specifically talking about the Mendel here, right? I am not talking about the laws here. I will tell you the general terms first, and then we are going to talk about the laws. Is that clear? Right? See, if you will understand these terms, if you will understand the basics of this chapter, I am repeating this line again, then you don't need multiple rounds of revision for this chapter. Then you just need to check your notes and you need to solve the MCQs. Okay, okay, so that's the first point, that Jonathan is going to, Jonathan referred it as genes. So genes are present on DNA, it's the basic unit. Now, bache, when you talk about these genes, do you know what? They are having the contrasting forms, or you can say that they are having the alternating forms. Do you know that? They are having the contrasting forms, they are having the alternative forms, right? What is the meaning of it? See, we even talk about the word allele or allelomorphs, isn't it? We also discuss about the alleles or allelomorphs. What is it? Right? I am saying that genes are having the contrasting form, they are having the contrasting character. Let me explain this part. Like in the case of humans, you know that we have 46 chromosomes, isn't it? What do we have? We have 46 chromosomes. So here 23 chromosomes are provided by mother, right? 23 are provided by father. Like if you talk about our chromosomes, even they are present in the form of pair. They are present in the form of pair. That is what you know. Yes or no? That is what you know, that chromosomes are present in the form of pair in our case. Okay. So now same way, because these chromosomes are containing DNA. Actually, it is like that now. Your DNA will coil over the histone proteins, right? DNA will coil over the histone proteins. It will form the nucleosome. Further, there will be the coiling, that solenoid model, radial loop, this and that. Like basically coiling will be there, and that coiling is going to make the chromosome. Yes or no? That coiling is going to make the chromosome. Yes or no? Of course, yes, no? Of course, yes. That coiling will form what? That coiling will form the chromosome. So ultimately, this chromosome is having proteins. It is having DNA. So if it is having DNA, means it is having the genes. Yes or no? And that genes are also occurring in the form of a pair. Right? They are also making a pair. So when we discuss about the alleles, right? When we discuss about the alleles. So what are alleles? Alleles are the contrasting form of a character. Actually, your gene is existing. Your gene is present as a pair of allele. Okay, your gene is present as a pair of allele. Let me explain it. Right, it is basically a pair of allele. So let me explain this part. See, allele is nothing. Allele is just like, let's say there is one gene. Right, there is a gene, particular gene, which is present on DNA. Let's say some mutations, some sudden changes occur in that gene. Some mutations occur. Like let's say the sequence was ABCD. After mutation, it has become ABCE, something like that. Right? So that slight difference, when one gene is going to acquire that slight difference, it will result in the formation of another. It will result in the formation of its another form. That is basically the allele. So alleles are formed when in a particular gene there will be the mutations. So different forms will be there, right? Different forms can form. So gene is basically a pair of alleles. It is having the pair of alleles. So alleles are nothing, they are the contrasting forms. Now let me explain it in one another way. Now you know that height is a particular character. Understand this part, okay? Understand this part. Height is what? Height is a particular character, right? We talk about the different characters. Sometimes we talk about the hair color, hair texture, right? Eye color, okay, the height, skin tone. This is what we discuss. These are the characters that we discuss, yes or no? Of course, yes. That's what we discuss. So height is a particular character. Now you know that genes are responsible for controlling these characters. Genes are going to decide our characters, right? Which genes do we have? They are going to decide our characters. Are you getting it? Right? So character is nothing. It is just the feature of the individual, isn't it? What is a character? If I have to define a character is nothing. It is the feature of an individual. Like I'm talking about the height as of now. Okay, so these characters are controlled by your gene. Let's say there is a gene which is controlling the character height. First point clear? First point clear. Now when you talk about the height, a plant can be tall, a plant can be dwarf, yes or no? When you are talking about the height, let's say you are talking about a particular plant. That plant can be tall and that plant can be dwarf. Dwarf means short in height. Yes or no? Like let's say here you are having tall plant, here you are having short plant, or you can say that dwarf plant, right? You can say that dwarf plant. Just a minute. Right? So tall and the dwarf. Tall and the dwarf, right? Okay. So basically height is a character, but height can have some forms as well. Height can have alternate forms as well, isn't it? Isn't it? A plant can be, or a person can be tall or dwarf as well. So when you talk about these alternative forms, okay, when you talk about these alternative forms of a character, right, that is basically a trait. These are the things that you need to understand. Okay, right? So character, it is a feature of individual, and what, like trait is what? Trait is what? Trait is a kind of variety here, isn't it? Isn't it? It is the character. It's detectable. You can say that variant it is. When you are saying trait, can I say that trait is just a variant of this character? Different forms of that character is a trait. In simple language, if I have to explain it, so different forms of a character, they are known as trait. So it is the variant of a character. It is the variant of a character. So if height is a trait, so this tallness and dwarfness. So height is a character. So this tallness and dwarfness is a trait. So trait is the variant form of a character. It is what? It is a variant form of a character. What is it? It's the variant form of a character. That is what trait is. Clear, bache? That is what trait is. So now you must be thinking that, ma'am, we were talking about the genes. Then why are we discussing this portion? See, gene, it is a pair of allele, right? I told you our genes are present in pairs, okay? And you are calling it as alleles. So alleles are contrasting form or alternating forms of the form of a gene. Okay, it is what? It is the alternative form of a gene. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear? So height, which is a character, it is controlled by gene, and its alternative forms, its variants are controlled by alleles, right? It is controlled by alleles. Okay, so if height, if I have to represent, so gene, if I have to represent it like a pair, so see, it can be like this. Capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, small t, small t. So ultimately you have to show a pair here. Okay, and these alternative forms, like tallness is controlled by capital T, dwarfness is by small t. So these are the alleles. Is that clear? Is that clear? So alleles are formed when there is the mutation in the genes. Okay, bache? Okay, bache? Fine. So basically, how do we represent it? Right? You might be confused that, ma'am, why capital T, why small t, why are we using the alphabet? So see, this is one chromosome, this is another chromosome. right? Chromosomes are in pair. So I think that much you all know. Okay, even we have completed it in cell cycle and cell division, that we have the homologous pair of chromosome, right? That's what we draw, right? Homologous pair of chromosome. Many times students, they get confused, right? According to them, if it is present like this, then only it is the homologous pair. Actually, it is not the case, bacho. It is not the scenario, right? Actually, what is the point here? Let me explain it, right? See, when you are drawing the chromosome like this, you are showing two chromatids, you are showing two sister chromatids here, isn't it? So such chromosomes, such dyad condition is after the S phase. Okay, it is after the S phase. Do understand the chapter cell cycle and cell division. Do check that one shot. Okay, so after S phase, initially it is like this. This is how your chromosome is present. But after S phase, it will be like this, because there is a DNA duplication. There is a doubling of DNA. That's what I told you. So if I'm drawing it like this, so I'm showing the chromosomes after S phase, but I can also draw it in this way. Okay, okay, it is also a chromosome, not a chromatid. Fine, it is also a chromosome, not a chromatid. It is something which is present in G1 phase or in M phase. Okay, so do not get confused here, first of all. Fine, so do not get confused here. Now, this is the pair of chromosome. Okay, one is from mother, another is from father. One is from mother, another is from father, right? So why do we call it as homologous pair of chromosome? Smitha, why do we call it as homologous pair of chromosome? Because it is having same centromere position. Remember this? It is having same centromere position, it is having same size, it is having same shape, and even genes are same. Even genes are same, yes or no? So if this is the chromosome, and let's say here you have a particular gene, we can denote it with the help of alphabets. Okay, we can denote it with the help of what? With the help of alphabets. Okay, okay, with the help of alphabets. Like let's say I am denoting the height as T, right? I'm using the T alphabet for it. T alphabet for it. So here you have this T. So the position of this gene on this chromosome, right? Here this gene is present. The position of this gene on chromosome, we call that position, that place, as locus. Which is the term that we use for it, Dushyant? We use the term locus for it. Locus is the position of gene on a chromosome. What is locus, everyone? It is the position of gene on a chromosome. And when we use the word loci, obviously it is the plural. Right? It is singular, it is the plural. This part clear? It is singular, it is the plural. Right? So gene is present on the chromosome. We are calling it as locus. So when it is the homologous pair of chromosome, I told you that it will have same genes, but alleles can vary. So if this is a homologous pair, if here you have the gene for height, so in another chromosome, like here also you will get the gene for height only. You will get the gene for height only. Clear? This allele can vary. Like I said, height is a character controlled by gene. So you know that we denote, we say that gene is a pair of allele. That's what we used to say. Gene is a pair of allele. So when you are going to talk about the trait like tallness, it's a character which you will see in many plants. Right? It's a very, very common character. It is a character that you will see in many plants. So it is a dominant character. Dominant character. It is expressing itself more. So for such dominant character, for such dominant allele, you will use the capital letter. Right? What are you going to use? You are going to use the capital letter. If that character is not expressing it that much, right? If in a population you are not noticing that particular character so frequently, you will call it as a recessive character. Okay, you are going to call it as a recessive character, and we denote it with the help of small letters. Clear? With the help of small letter. So again I'm explaining, gene is what? Height is a character. Height is a character, right? A gene is controlling this character. So this character can have alternative forms. It can have variant, and for such variant, we are using the word trait. So many times students and even sometimes teachers, they do not explain what is the difference in character and trait. You should know about it. Okay, you should know about it. So character is the feature of that individual, and that alternative forms of that character, the variants of that character, they are the traits, right? So if I'm talking about the trait tallness, it is controlled by one allele. If I'm talking about the dwarfness, it is controlled by another allele. So both the allele, they are making the pair, right? Both the allele, they are making that pair, and that pair is the gene. And when I talk about their position here, so they are present on chromosome, their position is known as locus, right? And see, when it is a homologous pair of chromosome, if this particular chromosome is here, if it is having the gene for height, here also at the same position you will see the gene for height, right? The allele can vary, but ultimately gene is same, right? Okay, so that's why when we define the allele, okay, that's why when we define the allele, so no doubt it is the alternative form of a gene, okay, it is the alternative form of a gene which are located on same position, or same position means same locus, right? See, it is the alternative form of a gene which are located on same position on the homologous chromosome, right? On the homologous chromosome. Is that clear? Is that clear? Right? So this complete definition is clear. Alternative form of a gene which are present on same locus, same position on the homologous chromosome. So see, locus is same, position is same. Okay, locus is same, position is same. Done? Done? So as I said, allele can vary. Allele can vary. So now, see, it can be capital T, capital T. It can be capital T. It can be small t, small t. It can be capital T, small t. This is what I said now. They are present in pairs. They are present in pairs. Now when both the, now see, first of all, focus on this part, dominant and the recessive. Again, I'm explaining this. Dominant, which will express itself frequently. Like if you will study a population, and for studying such things, you have to study the population only. Your sampling size should be more. You cannot say that you have studied, 2 to 3 people and then you have decided, okay, in this particular population, this is what we have. No, our sampling size should be more, then we can get the better result, the accurate results. Okay, so the character which is expressing itself very frequently in a population, you will see the individuals having that particular characters, right? More individuals having that particular character, you are using the word dominant for it. So whenever your allele is dominant, you will use capital letter. It's not mandatory always you have to use the T, always you have to use the A. It depends upon you. You can use any alphabet, right? And you can mention it there that this alphabet is representing this character. Okay, so when it is the dominant one, like tallness, mainly you will see that plants are tall, right? Let's say we are taking the example of pea plant here, and I'm saying they are what? They are tall. So for tallness, it's a dominant character, capital T. Recessive, which is not expressing itself that much, right? So it is the recessive one, small letter. Now they should be in the form of, they should be there in a pair, right? They should be present in a pair, right? In a pair. So capital T means both the alleles are same. In an individual, you can take the example of animal, you can take the example of plant, whatever you want to take, but understand this basic part. So if it is in a pair and both the alleles are same, both the alleles are what? Same. Homozygous. Why am I saying homozygous? Right? Why? Homo means same. Homo means same. See, I'll explain one example. This is what fertilization is. The fusion of haploid sperm and ovum. Right? Vidisha, this is what fertilization is. The fusion of haploid sperm and the ovum. And when they will fuse, you will get a diploid zygote. You will get a diploid zygote. So, this sperm is carrying, let's say, capital T. This egg is carrying small t. When they will fuse, that is in their zygote, they will become capital T, small t, right? In the zygote, this is what you are going to get. Like if I'm talking about the gametes, I'm talking about the gametes. They will have only single trait. They will have only single allele. They will have only single trait, right? And when you are talking about the zygote, it will contain a pair, right? In that zygotic condition, it is present in the form of a pair. So homozygous condition, homozygous, both the alleles are same, right? Right? So pairs are present in the zygotic form. Clear, bache? So here also both are same, homozygous. But here one is capital, another is small. Can I use the term heterozygous here? Can I use the term heterozygous here? Tell me, can I use the term heterozygous here? So now both are dominant. So homozygous dominant it will be. Both are, right, recessive. Homozygous recessive it will be. Clear? And now it is heterozygous. Now here we have the question. See, one is capital T, another is small t. So out of these two, which one is expressive? Which one is expressive? Tell me, which one is expressive here? One is capital T, another is small t. Which one is expressive here? It's the capital T. Means in that pair, one is dominant, another is recessive. Now you know this thing, right? Let's say, I think you all have seen this in the siblings. Sometimes it happens, na, one is very calm and composed and another one is very naughty. Hai na? So when that naughty one is present, so obviously that is going to dominate there. Hai na? That is the one who's going to get the attention and everything. Okay, because that person will do something that will always be high on energy and will keep on doing, you know, some things. You know this thing, isn't it? So now we have a pair, and in that pair, one is dominant, another is recessive. So obviously, one is recessive, one is very, very innocent. One cannot express itself. Small t cannot express itself. Small t is like, oh my God, right? I find it very difficult to express myself. So obviously, the one which is expressive, right? Here you can take the example of the introvert and the extrovert, right? You can take the example of introvert and the extrovert. One is introvert, another is extrovert. Obviously, extrovert is going to dominate there. Extrovert is going to express, okay, and the introvert will stay like this, isn't it? Isn't it? So capital T, small t. So capital T's are the extrovert one, means it is the dominant one. So whenever in a pair, if you have one allele, right, if you have one single allele which is dominant, so obviously that pair is going to be dominant. So we will use the term here heterozygous dominant. So when it is heterozygous, means when it is having two different pair of alleles, it is always going to be dominant. It is always going to be dominant. Is that clear? Is that clear? So when you have two different alleles, capital T and the small t, right? So it is always going to be the dominant character which will express. Okay, okay, sure. Clear? Clear? So here the individual will be tall, here the individual will be dwarf, and here the individual will be tall. So these basic terms clear, that what is the meaning of genetics, what is heredity, what is variation, what is a gene, what is the factor, okay, and what is the meaning of homozygous dominant, heterozygous dominant, or homozygous recessive, what is a homologous pair, what do you understand by the locus. All these terms clear, because these are the terms that we will use, okay, that we are going to use. Fine, fine. Chalo. So the next part is, next terms are phenotype and the genotype. So let's start with the phenotype first. See, phenotype, this is my way to remember it. From that PH, I focus on this part, physical appearance. That's how I remember this. Okay, it is physical appearance, PH. That's how I remember. Phenotype. Right, what is it? Phenotype. So actually when you talk about the phenotype, these are the observable, morphological. Right, these are the observable, right? Morphological characters. What are they? They are basically the things that you can observe, the characters that you can observe, right? It is actually related to that appearance. So observable, morphological, appearance. That is what your phenotype is. You can look at it and you can comment. You can just look at it and you can comment. Right, bache? Right, bache? This is suppose like this is a plant. This plant is tall, right? This character is visible. This morphological character is visible. So you can just look at this plant and you can say it's tall. So you are talking about the physical appearance here. Right? What are you discussing here? You are talking about the physical appearance here. So phenotype is nothing. It is the external and the morphological appearance of an individual, right? For a particular character. Okay, for a particular character, you can just look at it and you can comment. Okay, you can just look at it and you can mention. Done, bache? So phenotype is determined by, how can we determine that phenotype? So phenotype is determined by the combination of that alleles, isn't it? Or the combination of that traits, isn't it? Isn't it? That's how you can, that's how we can express it. It is determined by different combination, right? It is determined by the combination of alleles, isn't it? So phenotype is what? It is just the external appearance, the morphological appearance that you can look at particular individual and you can comment, right? So on the other hand, we have another term that is genotype. See, it's genotype. It is genotype. So genes, here you are going to talk about that genes. So basically here you will mention that whether that individual is homozygous tall or the heterozygous tall. Let me explain this. Wait. So see, I'm looking at this plant. I'm simply commenting, Nandini, that this is tall. So when you are talking about the tallness, when you are talking about the phenotype, you are not going to care, right? Whether it is homozygous tall or heterozygous tall, you will simply say that it is tall, right? And you know that phenotype is also the result of genes. If my eye color is brown, obviously genes are responsible for it. So you can just notice my eye color, right? But you don't know the combination behind. You don't know whether homozygous conditions are there or the heterozygous conditions are there. But somewhere that genes are controlling that external appearance. So that's why we have mentioned it here, that these are the external or observable morphological appearances, and it is determined by the different combinations of the alleles. But when you are talking about the genotypes, you are being very specific here. You want to talk about that pair, right? I am looking at this plant. I know two conditions are possible, either capital T or capital T small t. So when I focus on such things, then I am talking about what? I am talking about the genotype. So it is the genetic makeup of an organism for a particular character. Okay, it is the genetic makeup of an organism for a particular character. Done? For a particular character. Is that clear? Yes, everyone. This is what genotype is. This is what genotype is. And let me tell you, Vachi, when you are talking about the phenotype, even environment is going to affect it, right? No doubt it depends upon the genes, the composition of the genes, but environment is also going to play the role. Okay? Okay, so it can get affected with the environment. But here it is not. Okay? Here it is not. Done, bache? Done? Okay? Sure? Sure. So there is one more term that is known as phenocopy. Do you know about it? Phenocopy. It's a copy. Copy, you know, na copy, same, replica, like this. Or you are, copying someone, you are imitating them like this. Okay, so phenocopy. Now let's say if you have individuals of different genotypes, right? You are placing them in different environments. We have different genotypes. The genotype is different. You are comparing, let's say, 3 genotypes. they are different, and you are putting them in different environmental conditions, but the result, the phenotype is same. Okay, but the phenotype, Vidisha, it is what? It is same. Are you getting it? So what is phenocopy? It is basically if different genotypes or, right, if different genotypes are placed in, if different genotypes are placed in different environmental conditions, and it forms same phenotype, right, and it forms same phenotype, then we used to call it as phenocopy, right? Then we used to call it as phenocopy. So if different genotypes placed in different environmental condition but produce same phenotype, okay, it is the phenocopy. So this is what you need to explain. This is what you need to mention in the comment section after the class. In the comment section, you will tell me the examples of the phenocopy. Okay, and you will write down the differences of phenotype and genotype, that which one is affected by the environment, which one is not, right? All the points you are going to write. Clear, bache? So these basic terms are important to understand. Okay, these are very important, and then bache, if you know about these terms, then trust me, the chapter is going to be very easy for you. Now, the difference between character and trait clear? Tell me, the difference between character and trait clear? The difference between gene and allele clear? So alleles are formed when there is the mutation in the gene. Let's say there is a particular gene, right? Naturally it is present in some form, but after some time mutations are there, so it can have its alternative forms. That is what the allele is. So always you are going to talk about the pair, right? Even in you know that in our case, chromosomes are in pair. So of course our genes are also there, right? They are also present in the form of a pair. Fine. So after it, what we need to start? We need to start Mr. Mendel. Okay. What we need to start? We need to start Mr. Mendel. Done? So let's talk about the Mendel's laws of inheritance. Fine. Let's talk about the Mendel's laws of inheritance. So tell me what you know about the Mendel. Tell me what you know about the Mendel. He was a teacher also, no? Anna? His life story is also very interesting, right? Since its childhood, he was interested in all that nature and all because of the family, of course, right? Right. So okay, I will not talk about it. You are going to tell me about the Mendel and about his life history in the next class. Done? So in the next class, let's discuss it in next class. Okay. So in the next class, let's start from the Mendel's, everything related to the Mendel, and then after it, we will talk about the laws of Mendel's law of inheritance, and then we will talk about that incomplete and complete dominance. This is what we will cover in the next class. For today, let's discuss this part only. But yes, I'll mention few points here, right? See, this is what you can learn from Mendel's life. When you talk about the Mendel, you know that when he was alive, when he worked on that pea plant, he didn't get recognition for that. I hope you all are aware of it, that he didn't get recognition for what he has done, right? Why? Because people were not able to understand at that point of time. He was the first one who used mathematics in biological problems. Okay. He was the first one who used what? Who used the mathematics in the biological problems. Okay. He used the statistical methods for solving all that things. So people were not able to understand at that point of time. They were not able to accept that how can you use maths and biology? How can you use maths and natural sciences? But he did. And later on, he got the recognition. See, till today we are studying about the, if we have to start the genetics, we should know about the Mendel. Without Mendel, we cannot understand it, isn't it? Without Mendel, we cannot understand anything. So sometimes, you know what happened? Like we put efforts, right? We do something, people discourage us, they don't understand us. But if you have that confidence now that whatever I am doing, it is right. Maybe today I'm not getting the result, but later on I will. So just keep working hard. Sooner or later you will get recognition, or you will get acknowledgement for that. But if you think that yes, whatever I'm doing, it's correct, it's right, and I should put efforts here, then go for it. Go for it. Fine. Okay, ma'am, will you teach us in Avengers? But I'm already teaching in Avengers 2.0 batch. Okay, so study well and do let me know in the comment section you like the session or not. So today let's keep it simple, keep it basic only, right? And next class we'll start the actual chapter. Fine. And if you want to join this batch, you know what you have to do, right? You can check any of the video on our channel, right? Here is the link. Just click there on that particular link and this is what you guys are going to get. So add your number, email ID, just pay the fee, and you know that the fees is also very less, just 5,000 rupees, bache, right? And you will get the classes, the doubt session, the revision classes, the test practice, everything you are going to get. Okay? Okay? So join it as soon as possible, because after 15 days, if you will ask me that now ma'am I'm going to join, so I'll say nah, no need. If you have completed the syllabus and then sometimes it happens that ma'am we have completed certain chapters, but in certain chapters we have the problem and then there we need the teacher's help, then fine. Otherwise, bache, if you're thinking that I will start in the month of October or I will start in the month of November, then it is going to be very difficult for you. I am not saying that then you cannot crack NEET examination. You can, but then you have to put extra efforts. Fine, yeah, you can join it, you know how to join it. Okay, so take care, stay tuned, be consistent, and if you are new to our channel, you know what you have to do. You have to subscribe our channel, and thank you so much for making a 70K family, and now it is 71K, right? Thank you. So take care, we'll see you tomorrow at 10:30. Bye bye.